You don't have to understand why someone hurt you to heal from it. Sometimes the hardest part of being hurt isn't what happened. It's not knowing why. Why did they do it? Why did they treat you that way? Why did they say they loved you, then behave in ways that felt anything but loving? Why weren't you enough for them to choose differently? Why couldn't they see what they were doing to you? So we search for answers. We replay conversations. We revisit memories. We analyze their behavior. We imagine the conversations we wish we could have. We look for the missing piece that will finally make everything make sense. Because somewhere along the way, we started believing that understanding why someone hurt us was necessary before we could heal. It isn't. Sometimes there is no explanation that will make what happened feel okay. Sometimes the person who hurt you doesn't understand themselves well enough to explain it. Sometimes they will never take responsibility. Sometimes the answer you receive creates more questions than it resolves. And sometimes you will never get an answer at all. Your healing cannot depend on someone else becoming self-aware. You don't have to understand why someone hurt you to heal from what they did. The search for why can become its own attachment. Wanting answers is human. When something painful happens, our minds naturally try to make sense of it. We want cause and effect. We want the pieces to fit together. We think if we can understand what happened, maybe we can prevent it from ever happening again. But there comes a point when searching for understanding stops helping us process the experience and starts keeping us connected to it. You replay the same moments, ask the same questions, examine the same evidence, and every road leads back to the same place. Why? Eventually, the question itself can become the thing keeping you stuck, not because you shouldn't want answers, but because your life cannot remain suspended while you wait for them. Some people can't give you an answer they don't have themselves. We often assume the person who hurt us possesses some great explanation for their behavior. If only they would tell us the truth, everything would finally make sense. But people don't always understand why they do what they do. They act from fear, insecurity, old wounds, patterns they've never examined, beliefs they've inherited and never questioned, survival mechanisms they developed years ago. Sometimes you are asking someone for emotional clarity they simply do not possess. That doesn't excuse what they did. It doesn't erase accountability. It simply means you may be waiting for an answer from someone who doesn't have one. Their lack of self-awareness does not have to become a roadblock to yours. An explanation doesn't undo the experience. Sometimes we imagine there is an explanation powerful enough to change how something felt. There usually isn't. Even if someone tells you exactly why they betrayed you, abandoned you, lied to you, dismissed you, or treated you poorly, you still experienced what you experienced. The explanation may provide context. It may create understanding. It may even inspire compassion, but it doesn't rewrite the past. And understanding someone's reasons does not require you to minimize their impact. You can understand that someone was hurting and still acknowledge that they hurt you. You can recognize their wounds without pretending yours don't matter. Explanation and accountability can exist in the same room. You don't need their self-awareness to find your own. One of the most frustrating parts of healing can be realizing that you may grow from an experience the other person never examines. You may spend months questioning your patterns, learning, reflecting, changing. Meanwhile, they may continue living exactly as they always have. That can feel deeply unfair. But your growth does not require their participation. They don't have to understand what happened for you to understand what happened to you. You can recognize what you tolerated, what you ignored, what you needed, what you deserved, what you will do differently next time. That knowledge belongs to you, and nobody has to hand it to you. Closure isn't something another person owes you. We often picture closure as a conversation. They finally explain. They apologize. They acknowledge everything. You say what you need to say. The emotional books balance. And everyone walks away understanding exactly what happened. Sometimes that happens. Often it doesn't. People leave without explaining. Relationships end with unanswered questions. Apologies never arrive. Accountability never comes. And if closure requires another person to give you something, they continue holding the key to a door you desperately want to close. Closure can also be something you create. It can be accepting that you know enough. You know how the experience made you feel. You know what it cost you. You know what you learned. You know what you no longer accept. Sometimes that is enough. You can stop investigating the past. There is a difference between processing the past and continually reopening the case. At some point, you may already have all the information you need. Maybe you will never understand why they chose someone else, why they lied, why they changed, why they disappeared, why they couldn't love you in a way you needed. But continuing to search for the missing explanation can quietly keep your attention anchored to a chapter that has already ended. You don't have to solve every mystery in your past. Some questions can remain unanswered. Some stories can have missing pages. You can still turn the page. Heal what it did to you, not why they did it. This is where your power returns. Instead of asking, why did they hurt me? You begin asking, what did this teach me about myself? What needs healing now? What boundaries did I learn I need? What did I accept that I will no longer accept today? What part of myself needs compassion? What do I want to carry forward? The focus moves away from their psychology and back toward your well-being because their reasons belong to them. Your healing belongs to you. And the second one is where your energy can actually create change. Understanding is not the same as peace. Sometimes we believe peace is hiding behind one final answer, but you can understand every detail of something and still hurt. And you can have unanswered questions and still find peace. Peace often comes from acceptance rather than explanation. Acceptance that it happened. Acceptance that you cannot change it. Acceptance that you may never fully understand another person's choices. Acceptance that you are still allowed to move forward. There is freedom in realizing you don't have to solve the past before you are permitted to have a future. You are allowed to leave some questions unanswered. There may always be things you wonder about. That doesn't mean you haven't healed. Healing doesn't erase curiosity. It changes your relationship with it. You can wonder why without needing to know. You can remember without returning. You can acknowledge the pain without continuing to live inside it. And you can reach a point where the unanswered question simply doesn't have the power it once did. Maybe you never find out why. Maybe they never apologize. Maybe they never understand. Maybe the story never ends as neatly as you hoped. You can still heal. You can still grow. You can still choose yourself. You can still build something beautiful from everything you learned. You do not need someone else to explain your past before you give yourself permission to step into your future. Slay reflection. S. See what you're still trying to solve. What experience from your past are you still trying to understand before allowing yourself to move forward? L. Look at what you already know. Even without knowing why someone behaved the way they did, what do you know about how that experience affected you and what it taught you? A. Accept what may remain unanswered. What question might you need to stop requiring an answer to in order to find peace? Why? Your next step. Choose one question you've been repeatedly asking about the past and replace it with a question about your future. Instead of asking, why did they do this to me? Ask, what do I need now? Call to action. Join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to heal from something without fully understanding why it happened? What changed when you stopped searching for answers and started focusing on what you needed? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience may help someone else realize they don't need every answer before they can begin moving forward. And if you know someone who has been waiting for closure that may never come, send this to them. Sometimes healing begins when we stop asking the past to explain itself. I'm Carrie Genzel, reading a blog from stateofslay.com. Slay on.